Hello and welcome back, guys. We're now starting a new story, Green Tea Coffee, by Phantom of the Fanfic. You can find author's profile link in the description. Let's begin Chapter 1. Opening hours. The classic sound of shutters lifting brought a smile to his face as he began unlocking the front door. Stepping inside, he hummed lightly at the state of the place. It wasn't much, just a small shop-like area. It had long since been left as the store chain had gone under and sold all their locations. It was how he managed to get the prime lot for such a bargain. With a sigh, he rolled up his sleeves and slung his bag off his shoulder, taking stock of his items. A single high-end corporate-style Wi-Fi router, one laptop, ready to do some web surfing, a Bluetooth speaker and his phone. The bottom of the bag was a mess of wires he dare not untangle just yet. Turning his phone on and checking the time first, he wiped the sleep out of his eyes. Sure, he was used to getting up at the crack of dawn, but that didn't mean he wasn't tired each time. Powering the speaker up to max volume and connecting his phone, he set about choosing the right playlist. Clicking his tongue as the music flared to life, he looked towards the shelves and other parts he'd have to dismantle before really getting to work. As he began, his thoughts drifted back through memories. He sat on the corner of his street, manning a small stand. It was only homemade lemonade and smoothies. Each plastic cup he sold for 5 yen. He wasn't that fussed about price as a boy, only about helping where he could. There was even a small radio so he could garner attention. The day went by like any summer's day. Other kids were playing around with their friends and or parents. Oi Deku. Oh, hi Kaken. What are you doing? I'm selling lemonade and smoothies. Mom helped me make them, would you like a cup? It's only 5 yen, what, why? The young blonde stood on the opposite side of the stall. Well, I can't give it away for free Kaken, that'd be silly, don't you want to play heroes? I can't be a hero Kaken, I'm quirkless, so I won't be a pro hero, I'll be a guy that helps heroes. I'll own the place they go to for a break, heroes don't need help, everyone needs help Kaken, even All Might has a sidekick. Plus they get hurt all the time, so someone's got to help them once the fight is over. You are clever for such a young lad, a third voice. Both boys looked over to see a tall man in a business suit smiling down at them. Who are you? Me. Oh, how rude, I'm Shigaraki, I've just been visiting some associates nearby when I saw the stand across the way. Now how much did you say it was, young man? Only 5 yen sir, I'm not looking to make money, just make people smile. I'll take 2 then please, I'm parched, thank you sir. So, what made you want to set up the stand? The man sipped at one cup, holding the second in his free hand. Well, I wanna own a cafe someday, where everyone can feel safe and relax, really. Somewhere everyone is welcome, even villains. He paused before nodding, really. Well, so long as people didn't do anything bad in the cafe, I wouldn't have a reason not to welcome them. Deku, you can't serve villains. That would make you a villain. What if he didn't know though, young man? What if he served a villain lemonade today without knowing? Kaken grumbled as he folded his arms. See. Would you willingly serve villains if you knew though, young sir? I don't know, Mr. Shigaraki, maybe if they didn't do it for fun. Yeah, like some of the villains on TV, they only do bad things because it's fun. That's not right, but if they needed to or they were forced to, it's not their fault. You are a smart one, aren't you? How old are you, young man? I'm 8. My mama says I'm super smart for my age. That you are. I'm sorry, I didn't catch either of your names. I'm Midoriya Izuku, sir, and what are you going to call this cafe? Green Tea Coffee. An unorthodox name, but it's definitely unique. I wish you luck, Mr. Midoriya. Please sir, I'm just Midoriya. Mr. Midoriya was my father. Shigaraki chuckled at that. Alright young Midoriya, I'll be keeping my eye out for your store. You might end up serving little old me again. I'll see you then sir. Izuku grinned as he watched Shigaraki finish his second cup as he walked away, putting both cups in the bin. His eyes were shining with excitement, his first real customer. The doorbell chimed as he looked over. Christ Dikairu, how can you ever hear anything? Katsuki Bakugo put his hands over his ears. Can you turn it down a bit? The blonde cried. Izuku just laughed and lowered the volume through his phone. You didn't even hesitate, did you? He currently sat taking apart a unit, surrounded by screws and parts he'd taken off already. Nope, he chuckled, gotta get it done quick if I'm going to open on time. Katsuki just sighed. Alright, where do you need me to help? Oh, Kats, you don't have to help little old me, the greenette waved a hand. I'm sure you've studying to be doing, the entrance exam is only half written for you, so should you. Business course is harder than they give it credit for, it's UA's course, it's going to be 7 circles of hell difficult. The explosive teen shrugged and picked up some tools to begin dismantling another shelving unit. Are you sure you still don't want to go for the hero course? No, Katsuki, I can't, being a pro is dangerous, too dangerous. A shake of his head. I'm going to be a hero in a different way. Once I pass the course at UA, I can officially open my cafe to heroes instead of just their civilian identities. Dude, we're 15, you're thinking about things when we're what, 22? Yeah, about there. Since I'll keep it open for a year before going to UA, if I can get a few staff in before I go, I can leave it open while I study. A rather loud groan over the music. Could you think like a regular teenager for like 5 minutes, please? Sure. Pawn, SEC, tips, F, drags, stop. It's even worse. God, I take it back. Katsuki groaned as Izuku descended into a fit of laughter, kicking his legs out. You are something else, Dikairu, he cried as his friend just kept laughing. The lackeys heard a rumor today, had to tell me about it. Oh. Yeah, some underground pro, been on the scene a few years already, Rubberhead or some SHT, Erasereye, something like that, disables any transformation or emitter quirk for. As long as he looks at you, a gentle silence. Figured you'd like another guy to analyze when you have some downtime next. Thanks, Cats. Tell Auntie I'll be home late for dinner tonight. I'm going to get as much done as I can tonight. Katsuki just sighed. It had been 2 years since Izuku had moved into the Bakugo household, 2 years since Inko Midoriya died. She wasn't a victim, or someone caught in a crossfire. No, she had a heart attack in her sleep and passed in the night. Doctors said it was due to her overworking herself and stress about her job. Masaru Bakugo sued her workplace on her behalf. Izuku had been awarded a hefty sum as compensation for losing his mother. Originally it had set him off that they'd just thrown cash at him instead of saying sorry, but after crying for a few days and grieving, he'd come to terms with what happened. His mother would never be replaced, not by anyone. But he knew better than to live life seeking retribution, seeking revenge. After a week of isolating himself, he'd walked out of his new bedroom determined to live for her, in her memory. To honor what she'd done for him, he'd live the best life he could and make something of himself that she could be proud of. Of course the Bakugos had been supportive and kind. Katsuki had never once steered away from his course of heroism, dragging Izuku along with him to the UA festival so they could analyze together. They had an interesting dynamic, the duo, and it came from a day when they were just little kids playing in the forest. Katsuki had slipped off a log into a small stream and Izuku had called down from the edge to him, offering a plaster when the blonde scrambled back up. Ever since they'd been nearly inseparable, with the greenette reigning in his temper on more than one occasion. Aldera High, their school, had tried separating the dup on more than one occasion, claiming that the blonde didn't need a hopeless quirkless following him like a lost puppy. Another lawsuit and a news article later, the school had garnered the attention of Nizu himself, who despised seeing such a mockery of an educational institute. Cue a complete overhaul of the school and they boys found themselves in a much better environment. They still often wondered how they had failed to notice so many MLA sympathizers around them. Alright, but if you stay too late I'll be coming here to drag your butt back, be it by your hair or by your toes if I need to. Katsuki's aggressive supportfulness was a surefire way to get the message through. Yeah, be back by 8 latest, got it, he grunted as his friend got up to stretch. You better have, F nerd, the bell chimed as he opened the door, says the straight-A student. Izuku shot back as the door closed, nerd. His shout permeated the glass. Izuku sighed as he took apart the last few shelves. The music shifted to a more relaxed playlist as he set about organizing the stuff ready for disposal. It took little under 6 hours to take everything apart. Thanks to Katsuki's help he could now spend an hour taking apart the empty freezer aisles, which he did. Settling into a RHTHYM rather easily, he listened to the music waft around as the large appliances fell apart. After that he set up the router and leant against a wall, cracking open his laptop. One window displayed his current account, which was a rather healthy-looking account considering he was only 15 and hadn't had a part-time job. His inheritance from mom had combined with the compensation and given him an amount he could have lived off of for several years. What did he do instead? He set about making his dream happen. It wasn't going to be incredible stuff to start, maybe 3 machines, some tables and chairs, a few sofas scattered against the back wall, some booths down a side. He'd bought the entire building, so he could extend upwards if he wanted to. The apartment at the top would be his to live in once he left UA. Maybe even while he was in UA. Beat student accommodations anyhow. With his current savings, he could afford some decent kit and some regular stock. With a small grin he added what he wanted to his cart and hit buy. "Look mom, I'm doing it," he whispered softly to no one in particular. Sighing as he cleaned up a teacup, he grinned to himself. It had been a busy day but he'd managed again. Green Tea Coffee Shop was doing well for itself a year on from its grand opening. Thanks to the prime space it was victim to high foot traffic and quickly garnered a nice crowd of regulars. "Oi nerd," the door chimed again as he looked from his position behind the counter. "If it ain't my favorite customer," he smirked, "so, the regular. It's just an Americano, and yeah, 4 of them please, the grunts wanted to come see your shop, yo Midori." A teen with wings raised a hand. "Some of the girls in class were comparing your shop from last year with Starbucks, wanted to weigh in on it ourselves. I'd hardly say it's that good Tsubasa, but I'll take any good press." He turned his back to use the machines. "I mean, it's been doing quite well for a weekend-only joint. It's mainly tourists on Sundays though, always looking for places to have a quick lunch. Hey, any profit is still profit." A boy with long fingers stuck up a thumb, too. "Right Kaneki," Izuku nodded as he turned around, setting 3 cups on the counter, leaving the 4th in front of him. "For Americanos fresh out of the press, thank you," the 3 boys chorused before sipping their drinks. Katsuki grinned as he put his cup down. "Whoa Midori." Tsubasa nearly slammed his cup down. "This is great, where'd you get these beans from?" "This must have cost a kidney, they're just regular beans, same as the stuff you'd find in Costa or McDonald's. I've managed to get better machines since I opened though. I should have enough to start stocking a snack counter soon. Don't you need a display for those?" Kaneki raised an eyebrow. "Well, yeah, but," he turned around and pulled a small string, a shutter opened up, revealing a glass display case for different desserts. "I got this with the profits I made last month. I just need a down payment to prove my validity to the supplier, then I'll pay for monthly stock of fresh treats, biscuits, cakes, apple turnovers." Tsubasa leant forwards. "Yes, even those," Izuku chuckled. "I won't be ordering much since this place is only open after school and during the weekends. Dude, you really know your stuff." "I have to in order to get onto UA's business course," he shrugged. "I mean if I can. Say to them that I'm already running my own cafe, it should be qualifications enough, right?" "Too right," Kaneki grinned widely. "I bet that once Bakugo gets on the Hero Couse, you'll have dozens of students doing their homework in the booths. One can only dream." They shared a laugh before drinking in silence. After the boys were finished, he began cleaning and getting ready to close up shop. As he locked the safe and left his office, someone burst into the cafe and hid behind the counter. Cautiously he walked over to them. Their eyes were wide and clearly hyperventilating. "Are you all right?" They stared at him like a deer caught in headlights. He stood up as he heard more people come charging in. "Guys. Can I help you? Did someone just come in there?" Blonde hair in buns, so tall and, I mean, I probably served someone like that earlier today but I'm just closing up shop right now, no one's been in here for good hour and a half. He smiled as he lied through his teeth. "What do you need her for?" "Stole some money off me, I want it back," the leader growled. Izuku shrugged. I mean, I can keep an eye out for you gentlemen if you want, but it'll be hard looking for someone so generic. Alright, thanks." They stalked out of the door and he counted to 10 before ducking below the counter and putting a hand over his new arrival's mouth. "You didn't steal any money, did you?" A shake of their head. "They wanted you for something else, didn't they?" A nod as I began tearing up. Gently he removed his hand. They followed me for a long time. When I sped up, so did they, kept making comments about a good time. Thank you." She was clearly a teenage girl, about his age and scared for her life. "I wasn't sure you'd protect me, since I'm and how is a young lady like you a villain? You're about the same age as me. My quirk, it works off BLD, so does Vlad King's. I need to drink it though, and I do bad things when I crave it." "How often do you crave it?" "Every two weeks," she sniffed, "but it's been getting stronger. I am scared." Sighing gently he took her hand. "Come with me," leading her to the stairs. They moved to the upper floor. Like he'd planned, the cafe had expanded upwards, the second floor being solely a seating area, several sofas and booths around the area and the balcony used for outside seating. Fortunately he hadn't begun offering table service just yet, so he could just man the counter while doing rounds every hour to clean up. "Alright, firstly, name, Himiko Toga." They moved through the staff door into a back room. "Nice to meet you, Toga, Izuku Midoriya, call me Midori if you want." Next, age, 16, crossing the room they went through another door and began walking up the stairs. "Same age, just like I thought." Third, are you currently in education? "No." He opened the door to his apartment and turned on the light, not even pausing at her reply. I dropped out of high school." "Perfect, you're hired as a full-time barista of green tea coffee." The door shut and locked behind them. "You start tomorrow. Uniform is already in the storage room. Go back there before you go to bed tonight." What? Fourth question, are you currently missing or wanted by the police? They arrived in his kitchen and he opened a cupboard. "No, my folks kicked me out a few months ago. They don't like my quirk." Final question, are you planning on doing anything illegal at any time soon? No. Good, you can take the guest room, but before we do any of that, turning to face her with a med kit in hand, he looked her in the eye. "You're going to bite me. Come on man, you gotta get me her number." Tsubasa leant over the counter desperately. "She's so gorgeous. She is also not deaf." Izuku would forever deny that Tsubasa screamed like a little girl. "Himiko would do no such thing. And can hear you even over this noise." The blonde slid behind the counter, putting a tray down and cleaning up the cups she collected. "As cute as you are, Tsubasa, you can find a girl way better than some high school dropout. Hey, you're doing the online courses, don't sell yourself short, Himiko." Izuku shot over his shoulder as he worked the machines. It had been a few weeks since his first staff member joined and green tea coffee had yet to stop benefiting from it. Thanks to Himiko not being at school, she could work the counter most days until Izuku came in from school. Since there weren't any rushes during school and work hours, she never found herself overwhelmed. With the new leaf came a bunch of new experiences for her, such as cooking food herself, getting takeaways, late nights watching movies. Izuku was mortified when she admitted to not knowing what popcorn was. Something he wasn't able to help her with though, was the guys trying to get her number. After her run-in, Izuku was the only guy she trusted, maybe Katsuki too, but his aggressive support was a tad intense for her right now. The offers for dates didn't much scare her though, as the cafe was a safe zone for her. No one in the place would act like a creep. She would just kindly decline and give off a negative about herself, like the fact she was a biter, or that she never finished high school. A gentle put-down, but a put-down nonetheless, and more often than not they'd return back to the cafe, remaining polite and friendly. That was another first for Himiko, friends. Izuku counted himself lucky that he'd had Bakugo since forever and Tsubasa and Kaneki from middle school. Both duos were friends from BRTH and had gravitated at lunches towards the other. Katsuki's way of showing his respect and care for them both was calling them lackeys and grunts. Everyone he didn't respect he called an extra, so to be called otherwise meant you had his favor. Even Himiko was called fangs, stemming from her sharper canines. To others it wouldn't mean much, but to those that knew him, it meant he would fight tooth and nail for you. Himiko openly expressed how she didn't feel like part of the group, but they counted her in anyways, dragging her to the arcade on her days off and coming over to Izuku's through the street entrance for things like game nights and such. Even Masaru and Mitsuki had met her, and Izuku had to debate them off of adopting her, since it would probably get on the news again and nobody involved wanted that. "You're just saying that, Midoriya," she pouted. "Seriously though, Tsubasa, I'm grateful, honored even, but you can find someone better, much better, Okay, sorry Toga, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable, don't worry about it Tsubasa, I hope we can still be friends, of course. It's always fun hanging out with you Toga." He put down his empty cup. "Right, I should get home now, Mom said we're going to visit Grandpa tomorrow and I need to be up early for the journey." Standing up he waved as he walked to the door. "Thanks for the drink." Both waved him away as they got back to work. Slowly the customers began leaving, until they closed up. "Alright, Toga, you count up the till, I'm going to take stock and see what we need for this month's order. The shortbread has been selling well, maybe see if you can get a few more of those." This time, she nodded, opening up the cash register. Izuku moved into the back room and took a list off the wall, counting all the brown boxes along the shelves. He was about to finish when there was a loud knocking at the front of the store. Darting towards the noise, he opened the door to meet an old man at the door. "Excuse me young man, is the owner of this establishment in?" "I'm the owner, can I help you?" "Ah, you are younger than I expected, that makes this a tad more difficult. What can I help you with? Do you have an office we can discuss this in?" "I'd rather we didn't have ears listening in." Pursing his lips, Izuku stepped aside. "Come in." The man nodded and walked in as Izuku closed and locked the door. "This way," he led the man towards the small room he called an office. "Himiko, go upstairs please." "Alright, but if I mean no harm or ill will," she nodded with narrowed eyes before leaving the room, closing the door behind her. "Talk, you are Midoriya Izuku, correct?" "How do you know that?" "I knew your parents, Inko and Hisashi. What about them?" "They were good friends of mine, well, until Hisashi jumped ship, rat bstrdf off when they found out I was quirkless. Mom worked several jobs to keep us afloat. I remember, I offered to help more than once, but she said no repeatedly, didn't want to be in my debt. Had we not been friends I would have said it was a wise choice." "Who exactly are you?" "The boss of Shai Hisaiki." Izuku froze. "Are you trying to get protection money from?" "No, the complete opposite actually, I'm coming here for help. I didn't speak to Inko often after Hisashi fled, but every time I did, she spoke of Izuku and how much of a wonderful young man he was. I didn't realize how young she meant, but it is irrelevant at this time. I need your help young Izuku. Tell me the problem and I'll see what I can do." It is my granddaughter, her name is Eri, I believe she is in danger." His hand lifted, Izuku let him continue. "From one of my subordinates. He is useful but overestimates his place. I believe he is staging a coup in the near future, because he believes Eri is the key to the Yakuza revival." "What's Eri's quirk?" "She can rewind organisms to previous states. She rewound her own father to the microbacterial stage. Her mother abandoned her to me shortly thereafter. I believe my subordinate wants to use her quirk to create a drag that can control the market on heroes versus villains. Something that can give and take quirks, right?" "Exactly." Boss nodded slowly. "I fear for her safety in the compound should the coup occur. You want me to take care of her?" "You must understand, I believed you would be much older than you are currently. From the way Inko spoke of you, I assumed you already an adult. To be fair I didn't see her during her PRGNNCY, so I didn't know you were so young. The Midoriya family has been a great aid to my family in the past." "Meaning?" "Did they tell you nothing?" "Your father, he was part of the Yakuza himself. Obviously he left shortly after meeting Inko, and since he was simply going to live quietly, they let him walk away, after swearing he would never go against them." Izuku found himself frozen in disbelief. "Hisashi Midoriya, cowardly conman, part of the Yakuza." "You're lying." Hisashi Midoriya was a fire quirk user, breathing powerful flames. He worked with the Yakuza on robbery missions, breaking open safes, collecting danger money. He was one of the highest ranking members, which is why they let him walk away. Why I let him walk away. Had we known he was going to run when he did, we would have stepped in. The Yakuza are a clan with a sense of duty. To abandon your family is one of the highest insults in the clan, hence why Eri's mother was made to leave the clan when she gave Eri to me, and you want me to take care of her. It is the only place I believe it would be safe for her. The rest of the Shai Hisaki are unaware of your existence, simply because all record of Hisashi was destroyed when he left. I would have taken her to Inko herself, but, you heard of her passing. I attended the funeral. Young man, he said roughly, you probably don't remember me because you were so angry and sad that day, but I was there. Who do you think aided the Bakugos with the cost? Are you? They do not owe the Yakuza or the Shai Hisaki. I paid from my own pocket, as I would have to Inko had she listened to me long enough. However, she did not, and now we find ourselves here. Why not take her to the Bakugos? I do not trust a Bakugo as much as I do a Midoriya. The Bakugos are civilian. You are legacy. Izuku closed his eyes and sighed through his nose. I'll do it, but on one condition. If Himiko recognized the four faces on the news a few days later, she never said anything. Izuku was busy going over the books as she watched the TV. Boss would be dropping off Eri as soon as she was packed for at least a few days' stay. Both knew she'd be staying much longer than that, but neither wanted to admit it. Izuku bit the inside of his cheek as he carried out some sums. The cafe would be fine, it still made profits. Himiko wasn't paid nor did she pay rent. They'd agreed it was a useless loop of money going from him, to her, back to him, so she worked in exchange for living in his apartment. The moment she wanted to move out, she'd get paid accordingly. Izuku kept all the profits, and despite his living costs for food and utilities, he still had plenty to go to savings. Eri moving in changed that ever so slightly, but he wasn't going to mind. Honestly, he didn't want business with the Yakuza, so as soon as boss dropped her off, they'd work to change her identity for several days. Come to think of it, boss hadn't mentioned if she went to school or not. Izuku knew he sounded like a BSTRD for thinking like this, but it would be a major benefit if she didn't. He and Himiko could teach her basics and she could get into a semi-decent school when the time came. A sudden crash on the balcony and he stopped writing. Himiko looked over to him and he simply shook his head. Getting up from his seat and walking towards the door, he opened and suddenly and stepped out. A teen laid on the floor, face down. It was clear they'd just fallen from the rooftop and landed the worst way possible. Help, he groaned, lifting his head up. Izuku paled as he saw the serious burns charring the man's skin. Help me please. Without another word, Izuku hefted the man in and took him across the room, laying him on the sofa. Himiko, medicine cabinet, now, she nodded and dashed for it. Izuku darted into the bathroom and soaked a flannel in cold water, squeezing water out until it was just damp enough to be cold. Resting it on the man's forehead, he rolled up the sleeves to check for injuries. Aside from more concerning burns, there were a few bruises and scrapes, but nothing dangerous. Sir, hey, sir, can you tell me your name? Titadu, what? Todoroki, T2. Yeah, Todoroki, Tuya Todoroki. Todoroki as in Enji Todoroki. Number 2 pro hero. What the F was the son of the number 2 doing on his doorstep, burnt to F with injuries like he'd been in a brawl? I got the kit, and some water. Taking the glass from her, Izuku supported Todoroki's head enough to let him gently drink the water. Any idea? Tuya Todoroki, either his name or the name of the guy that did this to him. It's mainly some gnarly burns, but if we act quickly with the burn cream and get him hydrated, we can prevent the worst of it. He'll have blisters like nobody's business, but we should be able to prevent his skin from peeling away. Yeah, I'd rather not see that, thanks. Himiko shook her head slightly. Is he out of it? He's awake, just in bad shape, probably exhausted too, but he'll be wide awake in 3, 2, he counted down as he scooped the burn cream onto his fingertips and applied it to Todoroki's arm. No, I'm here, I'm okay Todoroki, please calm down, my name is Midoriya Izuku, you just fell onto my balcony covered in some severe burns, what you're feeling is, burn cream, you've had it before. Old man Yuji get us said to these things, there was a pained smirk on his face. Ma normally applies it, not as much T though doesn't want BBABSTRD to KN no, he spoke between grunts and coughs. Izuku frowned, pausing the application long enough to give Todoroki another drink. Well, I'm sorry to say but you're going to be sleeping on the couch from now on buddy, no way I can let you back there after that, sounds like he's abusing you, did, he'll say I'm dead soon, I see cause the training room to collapse, BABSTRDL left me, there to die, and you were on the rooftops because I wouldn't get killed in my sleep on the onda, it's alright Todoroki, just rest for now, I'm going to keep applying the cream, forgive me but I'll have to remove some of your clothes to make sure you aren't in danger of skin peeling away and getting infected, SF fine, Todoroki smiled as he closed his eyes, thank you, Izuku grunted as he kept rubbing the cream on in rather generous amounts. Todoroki would shine like a Christmas light and slip around like an ice cube on an ice rink, but at least he'd keep his skin and thusly not get infected. The greenette just frowned to himself for another moment before shaking his head, for mouths. Yeah, he could feed them, he'd have to dip into his savings for the start of it. But if Todoroki agreed to work downstairs, he could keep the shop open all day, every day. Weekends they could offer table service and get more in, plus he did get the order of takeaway paper cups. Plus with 3 staff members, they could even begin a schedule and he could start advertising jobs. Katsuki was groaning about needing a part-time job this year. Meaning there'd be more time to help Eri learn. Yeah. He could make this work. He would. Chapter 2, Dinner Rush. I didn't want to have to do this so soon but, he currently sat before 2 of his 3 flatmates. I have little alternative, from his pockets, 2 keys were produced. Wait, what? The teen with black hair stared in shock. Izuku, Tuya, you didn't think this 2-bedroom studio apartment was the only one up here right? The greenette chuckled, look, you're next door, Himiko is the one after that, so I get the smallest bedroom. You got here last, he shrugged, Tuya just stared in shock. Ever since he'd crashed onto the balcony a few days ago, he'd gone through a metamorphosis. His snow-white hair had been dyed a void black, eyes had been changed to a chocolate brown with some contacts. He still had scars from the burning, but they were fading already. I pay the utilities bills and you don't pay rent, because you work downstairs, there's going to be a monthly shop for all 3 apartments, have a list ready because we're going to have a rota every trip, got it? Understood, got it, Mr. Midoriya. The 3 turned to look over at their newest roommate. Eri stood, barely 5 years old and staring at them all, are they going away? No Eri, no, we're too big tyke, Tuya smiled warmly, if we stay here we'll just eat everything in the fridge, oh, okay, we'll only be next door though, so if you need us, bang on the wall, an eyebrow was raised as he faced Izuku, right? Yeah, her bedroom borders your place, but you'll need to knock on Himiko's door, Tuya nodded, alright, that being said, let's open up shop, Eri waddled after them and Himiko tooted before picking the girl up and supporting her on her hip. Let's get you on a private table and learning, she mused, yeah, wanna be smart like Mr. Midoriya. Eri nodded with a mile-wide grin. They marched out of his apartment and scaled the stairs, moving through the back of the cafe and arriving in the storefront. Grinning to himself, he led Himiko to a small table in a corner, setting up a laptop and some books. They weren't complex books, only some picture books and basic maths for her. Once she was happy they began turning everything on and taking chairs off tables. Tuya, care to do the honors? A large grin, with pleasure, the shutters were lifted as he unlocked the front door, pulling it open to flip over the sign. The 3 simply began to fill time until customers began trickling in. And who is this little bean? A voice spoke from behind Izuku as he continued making drinks. Oh, Miss Yaoyorozu, I wasn't aware today was a shopping day for you, the usual. If you please Mr. Midoriya, it's just Izuku ma'am, Mr. Midoriya is much too formal for a place like this, alright, then please, it's Yamamoto, a nickname those I am comfortable with call me, alright then Miss Yamamoto, but to answer your question, that's the daughter of a family friend, he's in a spot of bother at the moment so the green tea coffee staff have taken her in for the time being, he sighed. Due to circumstances less than ideal, she hasn't been able to start school. So for now she's being home or rather, shop-schooled, would like me to help. I could never. He turned around, sliding a china cup in front of her, one butter coffee, fresh and steaming. Yamamoto gave him a wry grin. Thank you, honestly it'd be no bother to come over after school every day. My parents know I enjoy coming here. If they were to learn I was aiding such an adorable young lady, they'd let me stay here. As wonderful as that sounds, Miss Yamamoto. I'm afraid that I only have one guest room and she's currently using it. There would be apartments upstairs I could use. I supposed you could bunk with Himiko. There's enough bedroom space. I'd obviously earn my keep if you were to let me. Miss Yamamoto, how about you try tutoring little Eri first, then we can see about getting Himiko to accept a flatmate. Sup nerd. They heard a friendly growl as Izuku pulled out another cup. The regular please. You got it cats, extra. He greeted Yamamoto. My name is, I heard. I don't care. He nodded as the drink was slid in front of him. Thanks Dikairu, no worries. I know you're good for it after all. Izuku shook his head. Miss Yamamoto, Katsuki has this system wherein a name from him is earned, rather than given. He respects the workers here. So they get a nickname. For example, I've been Dikairu for as long as I can remember. Katz uses it as a form of encouragement. You can do it, nickname. Blondie over there is Fangs, sharp teeth. Burns, I think I'll call him Quispy. Izuku snorted, Quispy. Oh, that's perfect, better than KFC face. Even Yamamoto giggled lightly. You are quite abrasive, aren't you? It's his way of showing affection, Izuku substituted. Honestly I blame his mother. Woman shouts twice as much as he does. Poor Uncle Masaru somehow hasn't gone deaf just yet. Oh, are you cousins? May as well be brothers. Our folks were friends when we were younger. My father abandoned us when I was younger. Mom died of a heart attack when we were 13. Yeah, 3 years ago now. You are only 16. I had assumed that I was 20-something. She nodded, rather embarrassed. I get that a lot. It's always been my dream to run a successful cafe for heroes and civilians, a place for both to feel safe and where ex-villains can come and be free of judgment. Ex-villains. Those whose circumstances forced their hand or left them no alternative, people who had to do something desperate and were punished for it. They too will be safe in green tea coffee. He nodded, cleaning out some more cups. Yamamoto nodded. When Mom died, Kat's parents sued the company on my behalf. Because her heart attack was from being overworked, we won and I got a rather large payout. When combined with the inheritance fund, I could afford some decent starting kit to get this place up and running. Over time it's become a hotspot for students and tourists, mainly tourists during the days though. Yo Midori. Tsubasa sat the opposite side of Katsuki. Can I get a latte? Medium please. Izuku nodded and turned to use the machine. Hey, have you guys heard? Heard what? Endeavor's kid died, like a couple days ago. Izuku's eyes widened. Yeah, I saw that on the news. He nodded, not turning around just yet. He was using his quirk when he went overboard and burned a room down on top of himself. Shame, Katsuki grumbled. He must have been a strong kid to do something like that. Wonder if they'll ever share his name. Tuya. Izuku truly froze at that. His name was Tuya, Yamamoto stated, almost with finality. Shoto Todoroki is in my class. He spoke of his older brother when we could get him to talk to us. He remains quite the shut-off person. Maybe bring him round here at some point. Izuku was a businessman. He knew how to say two things at once. Nearby Tuya was walking over with some cups to clean. After all, this place has quite the social atmosphere. It may encourage him to open up slightly. I don't think Shoto's a coffee person. You never know. Besides, we do serve more than just coffee here, Miss Yamamoto. Tuya remained unreactive as they spoke, tapping Izuku's ankle. It may just be he is grieving at the moment. Having someone there is the best thing for him, I guarantee it. Putting on a sad smile, he watched Yamamoto mentally react before nodding very lightly. I shall bring him tomorrow. For now I have a little bean to introduce myself to. She turned and hopped off the stool, wandering over to Eri's table. The two engaged in a quiet conversation before Eri was vibrating with joy and Yamamoto sat down opposite her. Say, Dikairu, did you ever actually look into that eraser guy? Not much, I'm afraid. I know his name's Eraserhead. Quirk is like you said, when he stares at you, he can prevent your quirk from activating. You know what that means, right? Izuku shook his head. You could be a hero, except even Eraserhead levels the playing field. He's not bulletproof though, or able to lift cars with one arm. You could easily be an underground hero. Katsuki, I appreciate the support, honestly I really and truly do, but, well, it's not for me, not anymore. It's a shame too. Tsubasa shook his head. You'd be an awesome hero dude, what we talking about? Kaneki fell into the seat on Tsubasa's other side. Midori being a hero, you kidding? He's already a hero. Cappuccino please man. They debated while he made the drink. He's saved our buttes with studying several times over, not to mention the life elixir he brews in this place. The boy lifted the cup to his lips and downed the contents in a mouthful. Another please. Should I add it to your tab or can you? A large wad of bills was placed on the counter. Wow, that should cover the tab. Won it last night playing card with Dad and his friends, who knew poker was so easy to bluff. Through. Izuku quickly counted the cash and extra said a small amount. There's more in here than you realize Kaneki. The majority of the money was handed back. This should cover your tab and the cappuccinos for today. You'll be going through 5 as usual. Yeah, another late night tonight. Quadratics is so hard. Once you get the gist, you'll have it down pat Kaneki. Cats could always give you a few pointers. The blondes I narrowed. After all, he wouldn't want a lacking lackey, would he? Curse you and your ability to appeal to my good nature. Come on Grinch, I'm dragging you through those equations before you leave today. Tsubasa nearly sighed when, you two wings. Midori, help me. Tsubasa wailed before climbing from his stool and following the blonde to a booth. Izuku just chuckled as they walked away, cleaning up the cups. He'd be lying if he said Katsuki didn't have a point. Eraserhead fought quirkless. It was worth a shot, right? Eri was asleep. He'd locked up shop and everything was quiet. He'd taken his break and bought a cheap Halloween mask earlier in the day. A plastic All Might, with only holes for his eyes. Grinning as he let himself out onto the balcony, he nearly jumped when he heard. And where are you going this fine evening? Christ, Himiko, you nearly gave me a heart attack. She was currently standing on his balcony, grinning widely. Doesn't answer the question, are you going out to be a vigilante? Oh you are aren't you? I'm coming too. She put a hand into her pocket. Alright, let's, Rugrats. They looked over to the next balcony. Tuya was already climbing over. Do you really think I'd let you two wander off without me there to save your buttes before you got yourselves killed? He revealed his own best jeanist plastic mask. Let's get to work, yeah. Himiko cheered quietly, putting her own plastic Endeavor mask on. Tuya's sweat dropped. What? This way they'll pause just long enough for us to run. The three scaled the building to the rooftop and began jogging quietly. We need some gear if we're going to do this properly. That can come later. Right now we just need codenames. Already picked mine. Dobby, you too. Ooh, vampire. Himiko hopped as she ran. What about you Aizu? I was thinking, Jade, nice, I'll find us a broker at some point to get gear. Nothing much, just stuff to help with parkour. Himiko and Izuku nodded to him as they leapt across an alley. Any idea how we're going to cross streets? Izuku just grinned behind his mask. Jade. Just one. He leapt off the edge as Himiko and Tuya came to a stop. Reaching out with a gloved hand, he grabbed a telephone wire. It sagged under his weight, but remained tight enough to swing him back up. Letting go he reached for the rooftop. As his fingers latched onto the ledge, he kicked off the wall and flipped over it. Standing up he looked over to Himiko and Tuya, who just stood there, masks hiding their emotions. Himiko was next, retreating back to throw herself off the roof, landing in the wires and using it like a trampoline to spring up to him. Tuya just shook his head before taking a few paces backwards. Izuku and Himiko watched as he broke into a dead sprint and jumped, pushing off with all of his strength. His other foot landed on the top of the telephone pole and he crouched low before rocketing off again. Rolling as he landed, the older teen stood up and lifted his hands in victory. All three cheered as they began running again. Jade, Jade. They called as he dropped down an alley. Landing on a thug's shoulders, he knocked the man down and rolled along the floor. Himiko giggled while Tuya sighed. Cowabunga it is. Himiko began climbing her way down the fire escape as Tuya landed in a dustbin. using the trash as a springboard to attack the second thug. As the brawl broke out, Izuku ducked away next to the man's side. He laid against the wall, beat up but alive and conscious. Sir, are you alright? I'm fine, he groaned. Who are you kids? Couple of Ne'ertwells trying to do good is all, sir. Can you get up? Course, these punks don't know the first thing about fighting. Now I got some backup we can take em out easy. Sensei, what are you? Izuku looked over to see two figures approaching. Who are these guys? A man in an All Might hoodie was sliding over on all fours while a woman in a very revealing outfit floated down next to him. Endeavor Mask and Best Jeanist Mask are friendlies, the others were trying to 1 versus 7 your friend here. Izuku pulled the older man to his feet. Any reason why? Punks don't much like me, the man grunted. Knuckle Duster, runt is Crawler, this here's Pop Step, Jade, Vampire, Dobby. Izuku introduced himself and the others. Now can we aid my friends or not? The four jumped into the fight. It was now 1-on-1. Izuku had trained enough with Katsuki to know his way round a fight. Moving around a fist, he delivered a gut punch followed by a rising knee to the face. The thug stumbled backwards and he followed it up with another strike to the face. My friend's faster than you, he grunted, blocking a haymaker and returning with his own. Katsuki was fast, his explosions could propel him at incredible speeds. Izuku had to keep up with him, so he had some fast reaction times. Blocking a jab with his forearms, he kicked out the thug's knee and socked him around the face. The thug fell soundlessly to the floor. Izuku changed targets and charged at the guy fighting Tuya. Dobby, go high. Sharing a nod, the older teen charged forwards and threw out his arm. Izuku hit the floor and slid, kicking the man's ankles out from under him at the same time. Tuya capitalized on the airborne man by quickly punching him headfirst into the floor. Together they moved on to the third, fighting Himiko. Tuya put his arms out, up. He called over his shoulder. Izuku understood immediately, jumping onto a trash can and bouncing off his shoulders. Himiko punched one side of his head while Tuya struck the other side. I'm here too. Izuku yelled, punching the man's head down as he was caught between the two other fists. Flipping to land on his feet, he saw that Crawler, Kunkelduster and Pop Step had taken out the other four. We all good? The three nodded at him. Good, you guys need healing, let's move. Crawler knelt down and whizzed up the wall, Pop Step following him. Himiko pushed off a wall and twirled back up the fire escape while Tuya kicked off and scaled a drainage pipe. Knuckleduster jumped and Free climbed his way up as Izuku leant against the far wall. Taking a deep breath, he took several steps before hopping. Kicking off the first wall, he twisted back round to kick off the second, repeating the process until he rolled onto the roof and stood up. You guys can come with us to get healed up, why should we trust you? Pop Step, we're three teens in plastic masks, what about us seems organized enough to spring a trap? Tuya grunted, just come on, we got medkits. Ooh, a medkit sounds great, got some bruises that re going to be coming out soon. Crawler put a hand to his ribs. Lead the way, Knuckleduster just grunted as they began moving. Getting to the streets they crossed, Izuku swan dived off, swinging from the wires again as Tuya and Himiko matched their previous ways, both cackling with excitement. Crawler just sped off the edge as Pop Step jumped, bouncing from his back and grabbing his wrist. The two levitated as Knuckleduster leapt. The trio formed a chain and swung, Knuckleduster hitting the roof followed by Crawler, who had dropped into a roll, and then Pop Step, who glided down. The six began running again as they heard. Freeze you some. They turned to see Endeavor charge them, some punks fighting again. Who are the new brats, huh? Wouldn't you like to now, Silver? Tuya called over. The group kept running as he charged on a collision course. Jade, tell me you've analyzed him. Of course, Izuku grinned. Who do you take me for, Dobby? Vampire. Oi. The two boys rushed to meet Endeavor, while the other four kept running. Izuku fell to his knees, ducking under a flaming fist, the heat prickling his skin. As he slid, he began to spin on one leg, sticking his other out to trip the hero up. Tuya grabbed his ankle and began spinning. The hero roared in anger as Izuku grinned, "Dabi, it's time to spin the shitstick." His held out his fist as Tuya kept spinning. The older teen picked up on his message and angled himself. Endeavor's face routinely struck Izuku's fist as they spun in a circle. "And you've won, an all-expense flight to downtown. Dabi, show the man his prize." He released the hero's ankles, sending him flying over the rooftops. As they turned to leave, a gray cloth trapped Izuku. A new challenger approaching. "You're both under arrest for assaulting, you Razorhead." You see him try and kill me with that flaming fist. He wiggled and escaped the scarf. That being said, and you're being live-streamed right this second. The trio looked over to see Pop Step and Crawler on the nearby rooftop holding up their phones. "Say hi to the world, guys." Izuku waved a hand, "Glad people could see us stick it to the silver streak. Hope this doesn't mean trouble for the rest of his kids though." Tuya cheered as he lifted a hand. "Another training incident would be so heartbreaking right now. What's you game here?" Eraserhead growled, "No game, Eraserhead, we're here to do a job, protect the guys you're too busy to help, maybe expose a few things the bigwigs don't want people to hear." Tuya smirked, "I'm just here to see what I can do." "Very well," Eraserhead sighed as he crouched low, "you can be honest in the station." Izuku instinctively moved to the side as the undergowned hero darted forwards, rolling on the floor. The tape wrapped his ankle and pulled on him onto his back with a crash. Lifting his hips and rolling backwards onto his feet, he avoided Eraser's stomp. "You think we're lying? Go ahead, buddy, but we're just the little guys looking out for little guys." Izuku nodded, "Helping everyone who needs it, while the heroes protect the public, will protect the person. Hiding behind noble goals is just being afraid to show your true colors." He began weaving between blows, but Eraser was trained, Izuku not so much. A few strikes landed and he winced at the bruises popping up. "These are my true colors, prick." The scarf wrapped in his wrist and he gripped it tightly, pulling it taut. "I'm here to help everybody who needs it." Gripping the scarf with both hands, he pulled it. Eraser had clearly not expected the strength Izuku hid as he stumbled forwards into a haymaker. Green eyes met red as they suddenly lit up. He didn't even hesitate as he charged forwards, surprising Eraserhead with a punch straight to the face. Before the blow had even finished landing, he turned and fled in the direction of Crawler and Pop Step. "Show's over, guys, good night." Tuya joined them sprinting away as the four laughed before disappearing into the night. Leaving Eraserhead rubbing a sore nose and Endeavor somewhere apoplectic with rage. "Why, you sure we can use here?" Crawler asked as he undid the locks for the back street entrance to the store. "Yeah, I own the place." The door swung open and he gestured everyone inside. "Head into the storeroom, there's stairs on the left, go up them and you should get to a cramped hallway, go to the last door." He instructed the new trio as Tuya and Himiko walked in, the latter of which pouted at him for a moment. "I have a guest, remember?" He whispered before her face changed and she nodded fervently. The other three waited for them to reach the stairs and they all moved up together. Entering Himiko's apartment, the inhabiting trio moved to get the first aid kits from around the apartment. The visiting trio were instructed to sit at the table in the main room. Once they all reconvened, Izuku spoke up, "Names and quirks please. We'll go after you if that's alright." Crawler, Koichi Himawari, slide and glide. "I can pre-eject a repulsive force from my hands and feet. I can also turn the repulsion into adhesion if I need to. I don't know my top speed." Pop Step, Kazuho Hanayama, leap. "I can jump high and long distances. My quirk prevents me from taking damage when I use it, but not from regular falls. I need a solid platform to leap from." Knuckle Duster, Yawo Aguro, quirkless. "Quirk called Overclock was stolen from me. We already beat the guy that had it given to him. Enhances comprehension and movement to the point everything else seems still." Dabi, Tuya Todoroki, cremation, basically hellflame, but stronger and harder to control. Stronger my emotions the stronger my flames, can't handle the top temperatures for too long. Vampire. Himiko Toga, transform, by drinking a person's BLD I can take their appearance for a certain amount of time. If I drink more than one person's BLD, I can swap between the appearances without need to turn back. It nearly caused a bout of quirk induces psychosis due to my parents trying to squash it out of me. Izuku hummed, that remind me. He slipped the collar of his shirt off his shoulder. Drink. Himiko stared at him before moving behind him and clamping down on his skin. Jade. Izuku Midoriya, quirkless, since BRTH, higher than average IQ and will of steel. What brought you three together? It was a few years ago now. God, we were teens back then. Himawari chuckled softly as he dressed Hanayama's wounds. Had this whole thing about a villain factory, a bee with a quirk, just all around a bad time. Knuckleduster found me and taught me to fight in the beginning, and once we had a handle on it, went to China to try and get some information. 2 years later and we know he's back because it's on the hero radio. A whole mess with the villain factory. Ugh, don't remind me. Hanayama groaned, putting her face into Himawari's shoulder. Please, I'd rather forget that part of our story. I'd disagree. After all, you did keep the costume. Hanayama went bright pink, but man, 6 was a tough cookie. I'm just glad we had a guy that knew overclock's weakness. Sensory overload, Izuku muttered. Lots of loud noises, bright lights, maybe fire to overstimulate smell. Honestly, it sounds like you could have taken the guy out with some flashbang grenades. Just get him to activate his quirk right before the greeniches go off. Because the hearing and sight are enhanced, it would have taken much longer for him to recover, not less time. Wow, and we didn't say much, Hanayama exclaimed. Senses are enhanced to match speeds that make time seem non-existent. People look stationary. Not incomprehensible, make cars look stationary. Faster but still something calculable, time itself appears unmoving. Even thinking that fast can barely be done on subconscious thoughts. In order to do register and identify objects as if you were moving at normal speeds means that the senses have to be enhanced to dangerously high levels. The only reason you can't hear things at that speed is because you're faster than sound. A bright light could permanently blind eyes that sensitive. You mean we could have beaten him with a flashlight? Himawari exclaimed. Maybe if you shone it directly into his eyes, yeah, he would have been blinded for at least a few days. Imagine a sun going off directly in your retinas. That's how bad it would have been. A thunderclap could have deafened him too. Thunderclap. Hanayama tilted her head. You smack both hands either side of a person's head, directly over their ears. Ever seen Sherlock Holmes? Yeah. Discombobulate. Ooh, that. He would have planted his face against the table, had Himiko not been feasting on his shoulder. Yeah, I can see that working on someone like that, but how would you land it? Enhanced vision doesn't mean rear view. Tuya smirked. Midori can tear apart any quirk in a few minutes. He does analysis as a pastime when he's not working. I did say I own the shop downstairs. The 3 of us work there, and it's enough to support you guys. Yeah. It's pretty popular. Green tea coffee, not sure if you've heard of it. We have, started last year, right? Yeah. We would have graduated university the year before you locked, neither of you went. We were busy with jobs so we could be vigilantes. Wonderful, you're all hired, you can start work when you've left your old jobs. Serious? Yeah, if you haven't noticed, it's barely the 3 of us running a cafe. Plus with Hanayama's social media skills, we can give Green Tea Coffee its own social media account, free advertising, like limited sales and things. Yeah, I've got some desserts stocked up that are seasonally produced. With a social media we can get things out there so much more effectively. Jade's already trending thanks to Pop Step's account. She nodded. You avoiding Endeavor and decking Eraser has made you super popular. He shook his head lightly as she showed him the screen. Watching it back felt surreal. Holy SHT, Tuya, we beat your old man in a fight. His eyes widened. Tuya, we fought your old man. The group was silent for a moment before the adrenaline wore off and they all laughed out of anxiety. We beat the number 2 pro hero, without quirks. As it set in he smiled uncontrollably. Katsuki was right. He could be a hero. Chapter 3, Recruitment Drive. I don't believe you, Himawari growled, making us work the night shift like this. He cleaned out a glass. Why the fudge would you even want to have a bar in here? It's a cafe. Because Koichi, Izuku leant on the counter with a wry grin. A bar means we can stay open overnight, and with Iwao handling the stocks now, we can order in alcohol and legally sell it. plus having this in the upstairs area means we can slip in and out a lot more discreetly. You and Kazuho work until closing time, sleep through the late night, early morning, and go out vigilante during the days. Himiko and Tuya can stay here working from opening until you two come back. The three of us can go out and keep up the watch. He tapped his temple. I have this all figured out, man. Trust me, you're 16, and yet I run a successful cafe-cum-bar while in high school and being a vigilante. He shrugged. Tell me again how I'm just a kid. Koichi just narrowed his eyes as he set the glass down. So why aren't you out tonight? Because, tonight Iwao wanted to take Himiko and Tuya out to accustom to the area. Himiko was a street rat and Tuya wasn't allowed out much. They don't know the area too well. He does, so you've got the night off. Why do you get to be the boss? Hey, I'll have you know I'm meeting the girl that wants to help tutor Eri tomorrow, so I need my... They heard voices coming from outside the storefront. Koichi put down the glass as they both hopped down the stairs and opened the door. Hey, Ichui. What the F are you doing? A group of figures were surrounding a prone man. A mutant quirk, giving him the features of a lizard. None of your business, kid, go back to bed. Izuku twitched and walked over to the guy, putting a hand on his shoulder. As he turned around, his cheek was smashed by a fist. 2 spins before he hit the ground, dazed. Call me kid again, I dare you. Taking the tea towel from his shoulder, he spun it between both hands, making a makeshift WHP. Clear out and don't let me catch you out here again, you lit dash, ga. One of the thugs tried charging him, only to get whipped in the face and a punch in the gut. Izuku wrapped the towel around the man's neck and crouched behind him, pulling it tight. Does anyone else feel like pissing me off tonight? Holding both ends of the towel in one hand, he kept the man down and eyed the other guys. I'm going to let your friend go, and when I do, you're going to clear off, and you are never going to let me even see you near this place again, am I clear? CC Crystal, sir, one stammered. Good. Now, letting one end of the towel go and pushing the man to the floor, he bared his teeth. Scram. Even as he fought for breath, the thug ran away, the collective group supporting him and his dazed cohort. That's why I'm the boss, Koichi, sliding the cloth over his shoulder, the crouched by the beaten man. Sir, sir. Can you hear me? I can hear you, he groaned quietly. Wonderful, I'm taking you inside my cafe, please don't fight us. Izuku looked over to his friend, Koichi, little help here. Together they supported the barely conscious man into the store. Let's get you laid down. Leaving Koichi to support him, Izuku cleaned off the bar and they hoisted him onto it. Can you tell me your name? Shuichi Iguchi. Well, Iguchi, I have good news and bad news. Bad news. Bad news is, you're pretty beat up. Good news is we can help. Help how? Well, just from looking at you, I can tell you haven't eaten. From the state of your clothes you've been sleeping on the streets. I can give you a roof and a job. We'll hash out details once you're in better shape, which we can also help with right now. Can you remove your shirt? We need to check for bruising. It will be purple, right? Gray and NGH, brown. Actually, if I weren't healing you, I'd be analyzing your quirk to F right now, Izuku confessed as he wrapped up a definitely not green patch of skin. Can you keep talking? I want to make sure you're still able to think, see, and talk, otherwise I will be rushing you to the nearest hospital. Iguchi just chuckled lightly. Or laugh. Laughing works too. Come on, buddy, work with us here. I got no job to work, so, well, you do now. Welcome to Green Tea Coffee. You start immediately. First task, don't die on me. Another laugh. You got it, boss. Ivy pull. Ed through war se than this, not something to boast about, bud. Koichi grunted. How many fingers you see? 4. Vision stable enough, not concussed. Bruising's heavy but nothing more than muscle deep, no breaks as far as I can see and minimal scrapes from grinding on the floor. The older man stepped backwards. Izuku, this guy's gonna be fine, just give him 5 minutes to recover. The greenette finished wrapping a bandage and nodded. Right, Iguchi, we're going to need to go through some paperwork before you actually start working here, and we're going to introduce you to your roommate. Well, yeah, apartments only got one. Wait, that rat BSTRD. Izuku suddenly called out. He's been complaining about one bedroom, he's using the other as F storage. Koichi just groaned and slapped his hand against his face. So while Kaz and I have been sharing a room in Himiko's place and Iwao borrowing Tuya's couch, the F-er has been keeping a second room hidden from us. I didn't have to listen to him complain about back pain for the last few days at all. The F-man. It doesn't matter now, Iwao will be taking Tuya's room and Tuya can split the room with Iguchi here, a sinister grin, and he's on duty for the next month. Koichi chuckled darkly. Oh, you evil BSTRD, they cackled with laughter at the revenge scheme before Iguchi became more aware of his surroundings. What's going on? You're okay, Izuku smiled at him. Wonderful, we'll get a uniform for you tomorrow so it'll be a training day for you. I can handle the paperwork tomorrow morning, but before that, we need your help quickly. Sure. Nothing nefarious, just a little payback. I'm in. To say Tuya was upset would be accurate. He hadn't realized the storage room was actually a small bedroom. However, they couldn't follow the original plan of sticking Iguchi and him in there, so Iwao took it. He also took the big bed from Tuya's room too, leaving the other two to mattress and cushions until the bedframes arrived. Which would be soon. Neither complained though. Iguchi claimed even the mattress alone was better than the streets and Tuya had slept on tatami flooring for most his life, so even the carpeted wooden flooring was heaven sent to him. Izuku hummed to himself quietly as he stood behind the counter. Iguchi put himself to work immediately, excited to earn his keep. The Greenette couldn't help noticing how they had a slight increase in mutant quirk customers after he began working storefront. Looking to the door as the bell chimed, he grinned. Miss Yamamoto, he greeted as she sauntered over, a heterochromatic teen walking behind her, eyeing everything suspiciously, and this must be Mr. Todoroki. Handing her a cup he smiled, Eri is waiting for you upstairs, the door is unlocked, help yourself to refreshments if you wish. If you're willing to stay a bit later we can discuss the possibility of you moving in with Himiko. Thank you Izuku, I'll head right up. Todoroki, this is the boy I told you about, Midoriya Izuku. He does wonderful drinks and I believe he can understand what you're going through to an extent. The Ravenette disappeared through the staff door as Todoroki sat down on the stool. Who are you? He growled. Did my old man hire you to talk to me? I can assure you Mr. Todoroki, if your father met me, he would greatly dislike me. Transformation quirk. No quirk. Mismatched eyes widened at him. Yeah, you think about that for a minute. Todoroki remained silent. As I thought, now you seem incredibly withdrawn. There's nothing wrong with being I didn't say quiet, I said withdrawn. Take it from someone who isolated themselves for a week. I know. Well, what do you suggest? I'm not making friends. Why not? A pause. I mean, really. Genuinely. Friends aren't a commodity or a pet that needs constant care. Friends are a network of people who care about you, a family you choose to have. I don't have time. Well, you're here right now, aren't you? What drink would you like? Water please. Cold. Izuku sighed and rolled his eyes lightly, reaching down into a small fridge under the counter, pulling out a bottle of water. Slamming it against the counter, he caused small ice crystals to form before the drink had frozen entirely. Cold enough. What's you game here? No game. You have a look in your eye. Izuku shrugged. You're angry at the world, maybe someone particular in it, but deeper than that, you're hurt. You're asking for help. I don't. Yes, you don't need help, oh mighty son of endeavor, you think. Neither did he, and look where that got him. He spoke levelly with an undertone of threatening anger. Nothing but second place, a dead son and a clearly traumatized other one. I'm not even going to talk about the two he seems to neglect. What are their names? Natsuo, Fuyumi. How do you think they'd feel knowing their little brother is pushing everyone away, just like, a hand gripped his shirt. Don't compare me to him, then stop behaving like him. Tuya growled as he stood by his younger brother. You're coming with me Shoto and we're going to have a little talk. Says who? Says Tuya. The boy growled, grabbing Todoroki's arm. You can tell Fuyumi and Natsuo that I'm waiting here for them too, Midoriya. I'm taking my break early. Take it easy on him Tuya. He's thought you were dead for, what do you know? Todoroki spat. How could you, Todoroki? I made this place when I was 15, with the payout I got from the company that overworked my mother and the inheritance I got when that overwork killed her. green eyes narrowed. I was 13 when she died. Know why I haven't mentioned my old man yet? Todoroki opened his mouth, because he abandoned us when I was 4, other people suffer too, get your head out of your butt before I kick it out, Tuya once you're done, get him out, I don't want his attitude here, going back to cleaning cups, he made sure Todoroki knew he was being watched, eyes never leaving the teen until the door blocked him from vision. He nodded at the paperwork, a level of respect on his face. I take it you didn't do this yourself, no, Yamamoto nodded gently, once I explained the situation, my parents helped me write it, well, it's certainly brilliant, but it's ultimately unneeded, I haven't used a CV for any of my other employees and it would be unfair to ask you for one, didn't even give me an interview, Himiko folded her arms, just dragged me into his apartment, hired me and told me to bite him. My quirk, I have a dependency on BLD due to my parents trying to suppress it, it didn't work but it did nearly drive me to a psychotic break, she shook her head, I'm fine now though, thanks to the sessions I have with Izuku, I don't get cravings anymore, and how often are there sessions? Once a fortnight, he pulled his collar to the side, you can probably tell her favorite point, there was a ring of scarred teeth marks around a clump of skin where his neck connected to his shoulders, least amount of resistance and a point where I won't bleed heavily, takes about 5 mouthfuls and dresses the wound, are you not worried for infection? My saliva is an antiseptic of sorts, naturally kills of all pathogens, I wouldn't want to get a disease from someone's BLD would I, Himiko shrugged, plus he knows to just say stop and I will, Izuku nodded gently, now as it is, you can move straight in, as long as you don't mind sharing a bed at this time, we'll get a bed and mattress ordered if you agree to move in, all your bills will be paid for by me and you won't pay rent. I would work here in order to live in this building. Essentially, yeah, he smiled, everyone else is happy with it, since me paying then only to get the money back seems, well it seems a bit silly if I'm honest, so I don't charge them anything and they don't get paid very much. Well, I basically look at what I'd charge them in rent and utilities, deduct that from their pay, anything that wouldn't immediately come back to me I give them, you would be the same, really, yes, since you would be in the same position as the others, it would only be reasonable to act the same, that seems acceptable, what would my warring hours be? Well, that depends, would tutoring Eri factor into your hours? Yamamoto shook her head, wonderful, you can work 5 hours a day for say, 4 days a week. Does that sound fair? Of course, she nodded, when can I begin? You can start immediately, you can also move in as soon as you want to, come on, let's go find you a bed. Himiko dragged the poor girl by the wrist out of the office and through the door of the cafe. Izuku sighed and stood up, Tuya had handled the cash register and locked up the safe. Koichi was training Iguchi on the bar equipment while Kohuzo was cleaning up the cafe and readying the bar to open. Iwao was in the stock room organizing the different products in order of priority and what would need restocking the most. He quietly moved to lock up the front, getting as far as pulling down the shutters before he heard a cry of "Wait!" Turning around, he saw a woman in heels charging over, short white hair with red highlights, dressed in jeans and a sweater vest over a sky blue shirt, her eyes were framed by a pair of sleek black square glasses. Izuku stared at her as she ran over, stopping by bowling into him and knocking them both over. Oh, I'm so sorry, it's no bother, the cement broke my fall, he groaned, are you alright ma'am? What's the problem? I'm just looking for a cafe, the green coffee tea shop. You mean green tea coffee? She nodded fervently, he just raised an eyebrow and pointed a hand to the sign above the door. There printed in large cursive letters was green tea coffee. Lit up by overhead lights shining down onto it. Oh, is it closed now? We're just about to close, did you want something? If it's just a quick drink I can help you, actually I was after one of your coworkers, is the manager still here by any chance? Ma'am, I'm the owner of the place, he stated with a deadpan expression. Oh, but, you're so young, I'm sorry, I had assumed you were a part-time worker. She bowed at him, let me start over, my name is Fuyumi Todoroki, come on through, Izuku held the door open and locked it behind her, we have a series of apartments upstairs, you're after Tuya correct? Yes, earlier today, My younger brother Shoto told me that he'd run into Tuya, which I thought was impossible after the news report, but curiosity got the better of me shortly after I finished dinner. My brother, Natsuo, it is alright Miss Todoroki, your brother can come at his own discretion, you are not his keeper, her face flushed lightly as he guided her through the shop floor, though if you could please tell your brothers to use the street entrance instead of coming through my store, I would greatly appreciate it. Oh, yes, of course, sorry, he laughed softly, don't apologize so much Miss Todoroki, it is no skin off my nose, you are quite the contrast to your brothers though. Tuya is much more laid back and speaks more to joke than anything while Shoto, he seemed guarded, to say the least, a small hum. Yes, you'll have to excuse him for that, his social skills, well we can simply call him inept for the most part, he does not have many friends, the fact he told us one brought him here is as much a miracle as finding Tuya alive if I'm honest. Ah yes, Miss Yamamoto, such a kind woman, she's recently joined on as part of our staff, also living in one of the apartments upstairs, they are quite cramped at the moment. I will admit, but we make it work, currently all of our staff lives in these apartments. Tuya just finished for the day so, a knock at the door. Tuya. Can we come in? Sure, hang on a sec. They heard a series of footsteps and a sliding of a chain. Hey Izu oh, Yumi, come in, he spoke softly as he let the greenette and his sister in. Shoto passed my message along then. She nodded, good, can I get you anything, tea? A glass of, come home, Yumi come home Tuya, please, mom's on the brink, Endeavor is going harder on Shoto than ever, please, come, for Yumi, I'm supposed to be dead, the public think I'm dead, I've had to take a whole new name just to make sure the BSTRD doesn't come and hurt these guys. Tuya, please, you have to come home, please, Endeavor, Dad, if he sees you, if he sees me nothing will change Yumi, but we'll be a family. A dysfunctional dictatorship of a household is not a family Yumi, he nearly killed me and then didn't bother trying to search for me before pronouncing me dead, if I go back SHT will get worse, but Shoto and Natsuo will have their brother back, Mom will have you back. Yeah. Well, if Shoto has done as I asked him to, Mom and Nat will have me back anyway, because they'll know I'm here, and that's where I'm be staying. But if you come back, we can be a real family again, and then what? Both siblings fell silent as they remembered Izuku was there. The greenette just folded his arms. Miss Fuyumi, if Tuya comes back with you and you try being a real family again, then what? He moves back into the household, the media catch wind of it, flock to your home and demand to know what happened. Will anything inside those walls change? She stared at him in shock. Seriously. If you were to take Tuya back to your house, show your dad he's alive, do you think anything would change? Or would it just go back to how Endeavor has it? Everyone subjugated under his roof, the Todoroki family entirely under his thumb, as it stands you can all come and see Tuya as often as you wish without him realizing what's going on. We can gather enough evidence from the four of you, go to the police and make a case. Once they confirm Tuya is Tuya and not Mikumo Akutani as we've called him, it would be a concrete case. Todoroki gaped like a fish out of water. And even if your father changed, would any of you forgive him? Could you forgive him? I'd try for us to be what? Tuya sneered, a real family. Come of it Yumi, even if the BSTRD becomes number one, even if he changes, it doesn't change what he's done to us, to you, to Natsuo, Mom or me, what he's doing to Shoto, none of it goes away just because you want to play pretend and imagine we're a functional family for Yumi. The world doesn't work like that, I just want us all to be hadash, I am happy. Tuya barked, I am happy, right here. Where I can wake up when I want to, within reason, where the only responsibility I'm given is the one I ask for. Where I can cook what I want, play what I want, talk and interact with who I want, where I can say what I want. In this 2-bedroom apartment, even though it's the size of Endeavor's living room, I feel like the most free man in the world. I am happy right here for Yumi Todoroki, and I will not go back to that hellscape to be part of a little dollhouse so you can live out your fantasy. It's not a fantadash, Miss Todoroki, my father abandoned me when I was 4 years old, Izuku hummed gently. Forgive me if this seems off topic but hear me out, my father, found out I have no quirk and, he scked on his teeth sharply, jerking a thumb over his shoulder. F off to America, Mom had to mail the divorce papers to him. For so many days I wondered if he would have stayed if I had a quirk, even a useless little one, like the ability to bend my fingers backwards, or change my hair length and ear size. If I had a quirk like that, would my father still be here? In due time I came to realize, I don't care, I'm doing well for myself, on my own, and if he comes back, I'll turn him away, the same way he did with my mom and me. I don't want people associating me with someone so useless. Do you think I should let him back into my life? After what he did? If your mother, my mother is dead, he frowned, worked herself to death trying to support the two of us, heart attack in her sleep, now do you think I should forgive him? She simply stared in horror for a moment, because I don't think you should forgive Endeavor either. Suppose he pushes your mother to a psychotic break, would you still be willing to forgive him? I don't, and that's the only answer I need, Miss Todoroki. Your, I don't know, tells me that you would try to, which you shouldn't, because some people aren't worth forgiving, and some just don't deserve it. A week passed after Todoroki visited. In that time, Yamamoto moved into the apartments, comfortably sharing a room with Himiko, melding into the lifestyle rather easily. They added her to the virtual group chat for them all, including things such as shopping lists, issues with the utilities and requests for help in the cafe. Working during the days Saturday and Sunday and evenings on Monday and Tuesday, she took to the responsibilities like a duck to water. Tuya also filled her in on his current circumstances, being sworn to secrecy and despite her obvious horror, remained true to her word. Iguchi was reporting the bar being a roaring success. After getting an afternoon to sit down, Izuku was finally able to properly organize a schedule. Tuya and Himiko would run it during the day. At some point in the afternoon, Koichi and Kahuzo would clock in, replacing them until the evening, when the cafe shut and the bar opened. About halfway between the cafe closing and the bar closing, Iguchi would take over for them both, since the bar would be significantly less busy and most people would be sitting at the counter anyway. Iwao was working during the day, organizing stock and taking in the deliveries. He'd also make sure the bar taps were hooked up currently and the tankers were full. Izuku would be there to open the cafe in the mornings and join in once he returned from school. Katsuki, Kaneki, and Tsubura would often join him so they could do homework in one of the booths. Yamamoto, or just Momo as she stated once she had moved in, would also join in after school on Monday and Tuesday. On the other weekdays, she'd spend the afternoon and evenings doing homework or tutoring Eri. Izuku often took the counter from Koichi when he arrived, as Momo joined Kahuzo in table service. Koichi would be on cleaning duty, which he preferred for some odd reason. After the cafe closed, Izuku would work on the finances, including the income versus expenses of the bar the previous night. To say they were rich would be oversimplifying it. Thanks to his inheritance and the payout, he'd been able to outright buy the building and his starting equipment. The first few profits of the store weren't much, but they had been all his, meaning he could keep improving the bar. Now he had expanded to certain areas, the expenses had grown, but so had the profits. Since both he and Momo would be going to UA in the next year, he had to train up one of the others to cover for him. Koichi and Kahuzo had too much to worry about already, looking for their own place and all. Himiko, they discovered, had dyscalculia, or number dyslexia as it was more widely known, so as much as he trusted her, she didn't trust herself to do it properly. Iwao was a no because he found it too boring and preferred to do the literal heavy lifting, which meant he had to choose between Iguchi and Tuya to be his temporary replacement. Staring at the paper he sighed, there was still a year between then and now. He could train both of them up until 10 and just ask them. A knock at the door and he looked up from the work. A boy with lavender hair was stood at the door. Hi. The boy remained silent, regarding him with both curiosity and a mild hint of annoyance. Can I help you? Manager, he spoke gruffly. Izuku fixed him with a glare. Owner, I win. Surprise stretched across the boy's face. Bullshit, try me. Smirking, the lavender-haired boy walked over and put a piece of paper on the desk, over his other files. Because I wasn't busy running a business or anything. Work, as far as first impressions go, you aren't making a good one. I don't need a CV, name, age, quirk and current education level. Shinso Hitoshi, 16, high school, quirkless. He shook his head, then tell me, brainwashing, a quiet mumble, when you answer a question I can give you orders, and you want to work in a cafe. Where you have to talk despite clearly being a mute. A raised eyebrow, after school on Thursdays and Fridays, from 5 until closing at 8 both days, Saturdays 3 till 8, 11 hours work a week, sound enough. Hitoshi nodded, good, because you start this week. Leaning down to his desk, he opened a drawer full of uniforms. There's a channing room, one of the others will show you when you start your first shift. You're on stocks and deliveries with man called Ueo. Since you don't like talking much, you'll be paid by the hour, standard wages. You've got a week to get trained up. Anything else? I am hired. Even though Izuku shook his head and pulled out his phone, texting the group chat. Himiko, Tuya, Iguchi and Ueo all came in with grins. Guys, this is Hitoshi, he's the fresh BLD, quirks brainwashing, thinks it's a villain's quirk, and we shouldn't hire him because of it. Can we call off our quirks for him please? Himiko Toga, quirks transform. I need to drink BLD for it though. My parents tried to suppress it out of me and I've formed a dependency on BLD now. Pleasure to work with you. Mikumo Akatani, quirk is cremation. I can create flames so hot they burn blue. It can start peeling my skin if I use it too long. Look forward to getting to know ya. Shuichi Iguchi, you can probably tell my quirk, called Gecko. People don't like me for it. Lots of people here like me enough though. Happy to meet you. Iweo Aguro, quirkless, but I handle all the heavy stuff. Can't wait to break you little man. Izuku Midoriya, quirkless, I started, own and manage this little cafe and bar. Welcome to the family Hitoshi. Since you want to run your mouth without thinking, I'm putting Iweo in charge of your training. Normally it'd be me, but I won't deny there's a small bit of vengeance and vindication going on here. He shook his head. We also have a few other crew members. You'll meet the 3 of them over time. There's also the possibility of us paying your housing costs, but you'd have to move into one of the apartments upstairs. Now that Momo was tutoring Eri, the small girl have moved apartments live with Himiko and Momo, sharing a room with them. It meant Izuku had a free room now. That bought in 3 more possible occupants. If you were to move in, we'd pay your housing fees instead paying you and then charging rent. Essentially what we do is take off the things such as rent and utility bills from your pay immediately and then anything left over is given directly to you. If that's the path you wish to take, we can discuss it further after your first shift. I don't want you moving in and deciding the job isn't for you after all. A small smile. Any other questions? No sir, good, now go home and sleep. I can see the eye bags from here and I need energy for your first day. You got it boss. Hitoshi nodded with a small smile. Clutching the bag with his uniform he headed for the door. Oh, and before you leave, one more thing. He froze in the doorway, turning back to face Izuku, pale as paper, name tag. He caught the small item. There's a regular here that gives every employee a nickname, but the other customers and DLVRY guys need your name. Thanks, don't mention it Hitoshi. Welcome to Green Tea Coffee.